So I have this handbook that I laboriously put together. So I was hoping that we can just sort of work our way through this. It has some technical stuff in it, and it has some pedagogical stuff in it. So I'm going to try to hit those two areas as we go through. So if you go to the first page, the first thing you'll see that it's logging into Moodle. The name for the course websites changes every semester. So you know, now it's online.peralta.edu fall 2012, and in the spring it'll be online.peralta.edu/spring 2013, and it goes on like that. So the online.peralta.edu part stays the same, and then the semester indicator changes for each semester. So there's another website, and it's the site that I put two of you on, and that's the EDT 2012 site. That's just some extra server space that we have to put shells on. And anytime you need an extra shell for some reason, like maybe you're going to teach a class in the summer, for example, and you just want to start working on it, all you have to do is email me, and I can set you up a shell on EDT 2012. And all of these shells that you make and any work that you do can be rolled forward into the next semester, and on and on and on and on. These are completely movable. This content is movable. So anything you do in your shell, all your work and everything can be rolled forward to the next semester. We just kind of strip out the students. There's no student content in there. Just your content can be moved forward. So you're never wasting your time when you're doing this. Building your shell, you can always reuse your content. So, okay, so any questions about that, about getting a shell? Okay, great. So we already went through the login process. And also, if you ever have troubles logging in, we have a great tech support. And how you get a hold of them is you just email online@peralta.edu. They're great help. So if you have some weird problem with your shell, you know, sometimes people put things into their shell and funny things happen. And so the person that can get back into the code of the site has to get in there. If you have any problems like that, that's who you would get a hold of, is online@peralta.edu. All right, so is everybody in their shell? You're in your shell now? Yes? Okay, so in order to get started doing anything to your shell, you have to turn editing on. You see the turn editing on button there in the right? Top right. Is there anybody here who used to use or has used the older version of Moodle, or are you just starting out? I know you have, but are you just, is everybody here just starting out with Moodle? That's good, because, well, the reason I'm asking is because we are using the latest version of Moodle, which is Moodle 2.3. That is the very latest version. You're right on the cutting edge with this version. And there's some things that are different, but if you haven't used Moodle before, that's okay. You don't have to worry about that because it's all new to you anyway. So that's actually a good thing. So if you take a look at the menus on the left here, and yours might look slightly different than mine. So I'm going to just sort of be pointing at things with my mouse. I hope you can see. Can you see when I'm pointing and wiggling? Yes. All right, so anyway, you must turn editing on. That's rule number 1, because if you don't turn editing on, you can't do anything. All right, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to talk to you about the menus and things that are in Moodle. So I'm not sure what you see on the left. I have the people block there. You might not have that because it's not part of the default setup. Do you have the activities block? All right, let's not worry about that. But you should have a navigation block. You see that big, giant navigation block? Well, that thing is really big. It's longer on mine than on yours. But we're going to do something right now. We're going to dock the block. And what that means is we're going to make that block into a tab. And the reason we do that is because we're going to kind of get it out of the way. There's not a lot of reason to have that huge menu sitting there. So if you look at the block, it has a series of little tiny pictures across the top, and one of them looks like, I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it kind of looks like, and if you point at it, it says, it just said, say, dock this item. Do you see that? Let me come by and see.
Say move this to dock.
We want to dock it.
Move this to the dock.
That's right. Okay, good. Yeah, click that. And you see where it went now?
Yeah.
Okay, we just got rid of it. It's still there, but we just moved it over here, and now it's a tab. And you don't need that giant menu with all those courses there inside. And the thing is when you dock blocks, those will be like that for you whenever you log in. So if you go to a totally different class and you're logged in as you, however you set up your menus will still remain consistent because the system follows you. You're like an identified user in the system. So any kind of settings that you have, they follow you across the system. Now, I often dock my settings block also. Do you have a settings block there? Now, this is one of the things that's kind of new in Moodle, is that this menu is what they call a contextual menu. And what that means is this menu changes depending on what you're doing in Moodle. So you'll notice that right now, the settings menu just has a bunch of sort of generic stuff in it. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So you see where it says edit settings? So we're going to go in there in a minute. I think you might have yeah, you can't see very well up here. But we're going to go into edit settings in a minute. But you notice where it says grades there? Grades. That's actually a link to the gradebook in Moodle. So that's how you get to the gradebook, is in the settings menu. Now we've got a backup. You see backup there? You can back up, which means you're going to make a copy of your course if you need to do that for any reason. And also right into that is restore, and that's how we take your content from one place and put it in another place. So you can back up your whole gigantic course on a flash drive and carry around in your pocket. But what I want you to look at right now is I would like you to look at your profile settings. So if you click on where it says My Profile Settings and just go to Edit Profile. This is where you can go if you need to change your password. Also, if you wanted to write a brief little description about your course or something in that box, it says description. But the main thing I want you to look at is, you see where it says forum auto subscribe? And you want to make sure it says no, and I think it's set to yes. So go here, go to edit settings. Okay, so I'm talking about, sorry, go back here. Go back to your settings. Go here, my profile settings, and then edit profile. Do you really understand what your profile is in here? It's just like any other website where, like Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that. You have a profile, and it determines, in this case, it determines what it looks like for you as you use your course. So that's why I'm telling you, you want to say on your forum auto subscribe, you want to make sure in your profile it says no. Don't automatically subscribe. And the reason for that is if you have that on yes, which is the default, you will get an email every single time a student writes a post form, which can be a real pain. And the second thing is forum tracking. I believe the default is no, but you want to change that to yes. Yes, I do want you to highlight new posts for me. Otherwise, you have post, you've read a post or not. So if you have 40 students and they're all posting, you might have hundreds and hundreds of posts to go through, and you don't know which ones you've read or haven't read. So can you just scroll down a little bit to where it says user picture? So I know you probably don't have a picture with you, but if you could just click on the add button, yeah, which is right there. This, I just want you to see that this is what they call the file picker. Don't ask me how they come up with that name. And anyway, this is how you get your files into your Moodle shell. And you notice that there's a lot of different options there on the left. Let me just pull that up. So if I wanted to add a file right now, I would use Uploadify. I'm not going to do it right now, but there's also a private files. You can store your files on there if you want to do that. I don't know. And so anyway, this is how we get files. So I would like to encourage you to upload a picture of yourself. Do we have a picture that you can upload now? And I know you're going to go away and you're going to say, I'm not doing that, but I'm telling you, if you don't do it, there's going to be a big green head there. So when students look, they're going to go, why does my teacher doesn't care? Why doesn't my teacher have a picture? So you really want to upload a picture of yourself in this area. So we're going to come back to the file picker at a later time. All right, so I'm closing that down. Anytime you add stuff, you always have to go to the bottom and click update, and that's true on every single page that we're going to interact with here. Okay, so everything I just talked about right now is on page 3, and I'm going on to page, oh, I forgot something. Good, I'm glad I have this handout. I'm going to go back to settings again. So if you look at the edit course settings page, oh, I guess we haven't gone there yet. I didn't forget, we just hadn't gone there. So go to your settings menu and go to where it says edit settings, and you'll be on the page that I'm on. Okay, so this page is pretty important because first of all, it's got all the general information for your course, but you also notice that it has a course start date. You see that? It says format, weekly format, and then it says some other things, and then it says course start date. So, for example, if you have a late start course, you can go in and set up the start date. But what I really want to talk to you about is this format thing. So, pretty much at Peralta, we're using 2 formats. We're either using weekly format or topics format. And weekly format means you have a section for each week. And each section has a date associated with it. So this would be what the format you would use if you need a separate section for each week. Now, maybe you don't need that. Let's say that what you're going to do is you're going to use your Moodle shell, but what you're going to do is you're just going to post your syllabus and you're going to post your homework or your lecture notes or something like that. In that case, you might want to use topics format. Topics format just means you can have as many blocks as you want. Maybe you only need 3 blocks. I'm calling them blocks. I called them sections a minute ago. They're those little boxes you see in the middle. So maybe I only need 3 of those sections. And I'm going to have 1 section for homework and 1 section for whatever I said before. So I could go in here and I could change the topics format. And I could say, I'm going to have 5 topics. This is just totally random. And then I'm going to save changes. And when I go back to my course, it's going to look like this now. See how I only have 5 topics now? So if I don't do that, when I get my Moodle shell, it's going to have 16 sections, because that's how many weeks in the semester. And they're all going to have a date. So you have to think about, how you're organizing your Moodle and what works best for you. And you can go, you're not married to it. You can go back in and change it. Change the whole thing if you want, at any point. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see here it says availability. So right now, my course is not available to students. What that means is, even if the student is logged in and they are enrolled in my course, they will not see my course. So I have to make my course available to students when I'm ready. And I'll show you later on, you don't have to have your whole course ready before you make it available. You can hide stuff. So, but you must make your course available or students can't get in. Students are automatically added to your course. Like, you don't have to do that part. They're already there. But until you make your course available, they won't be able to find it. Okay, so I'm going to go back now to my front page of my course. And I'm moving on to page... Oh, so I'm on page 9 now. I'm just gonna hydrate. Okay. So, if you look at page 9, there's something here about creating a welcome message. So, one thing you have to think about for students is they might not know why they're there or what they're supposed to do there. And that's really important, and you can't underestimate how important it is to give students good, clear directions on what the heck you want them to do there and what they can expect there. So I have created this thing about the welcome message, and it's just got some suggestions about what kind of stuff you could put. And normally that is put in this top section here. This is called block 0. And this is where you would put introductory information. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to put some introductory information. So how do we do that? Well, make sure we have editing turned on. And then if you look in your top block above the news forum, you should see a really tiny, tiny hand holding a pencil. Go ahead and click that icon. When you point at it, it says Edit Summary. And that will take you to an editable text box. And if you look at the handout, there's some suggestions about things like, well, the least you should do is put welcome to whatever your course is and make that large. And you want to do that with using headings. Does anybody in here ever know anything about HTML or writing in the web or anything like that? Yeah, okay. So it's really important that you specify headings. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you look up here for a second, notice when I highlight this text right here, I have a box that has different types of formatting in it, and I'm going to choose heading 2. Oh, heading 2. Because heading 2 is a good size. Heading 1 is really gigantic. It's kind of like too big. It's important to keep what they call readability in mind, so make sure there's like white space around things, no gigantic paragraphs. Bullets are good, things that draw the eye. So there's some information here, like you should tell students, do you have office hours? How are they supposed to get a hold of you? How long do they have to wait before you're going to grade assignments? You know, things that students are really interested in and want to know about. Those things should go into this top box. You can put some general learning objectives for the course in that box. Like, at the end of this course, you're going to know how to do X, Y, and Z. And also information like for students, like how do they find the syllabus? You know, are you going to have any special meeting? You know, all that kind of stuff like that. That needs to go into this top block. And I really strongly urge you to not stick with the default font, which is an 8-point font, to make it at least a 14-point font so that the student can read it. So this actually, by the way, this thing is what they call a WYSIWYG editor, and you're actually writing code without knowing about it. So you don't have to know anything about code or anything like that. all you gotta do is just write in the box. Please don't use like pink font or anything. Stick with your whatever font they got, and that's really easy to read. Okay, so I'm going to move along to adding files to Moodle. I'm on page 11. So one of the main things you probably want to do with Moodle when you're first starting out is upload files, right? Is that true? Like your syllabus, for example, right? So what I'm going to do now, just stay with me, because did anybody bring a file with them? No, okay. So we're going to create a file right now, okay? And we're just going to save it on the desktop. All right, so don't close down Moodle. Just go down to the bottom of your screen and just click on the W. So we're just going to save a file now. So I'm going to give my little speech about Word files. So please do not upload Word files to Moodle, and the reason for that is a lot of students don't have Word, or they might be looking at it on their phone, or so it's best to save your Word files as PDF files, and you can do that in Word. It's really easy. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to save this file. So does everybody have a Word doc open? Okay, I'm not even going to write anything in mine. I'm just going to save it. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and then I'm going to choose PDF, and I'll call this Example. Find it. And I'm going to save mine on the desktop because then it's really easy for me to find. So I'm just saving this file as a PDF on the desktop. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I have a link here. It's called Add an Activity or Resource. So click on Add an Activity or Resource, and you're going to get a box that pops up. It looks like this. And you're going to look there, and so there's activities and then there's resources. And if you go way down towards the bottom, you're going to choose File. So, because we're uploading a file. So go ahead and click on File, and then click on Add. Alright. So, click on File, and click on Add. So this is going to pull up a page that looks like this. And you should see it should say adding new file. Does that say that? There. Alright, so notice how there's some red asterisks. Anybody know what red asterisks mean? What does that mean?
Mandatory.
Yes, right. It's mandatory. So you must give this file a name and a description. So I'm going to call this syllabus. But hopefully you'll give your file, it's kind of important to give things really good names so the student can look at it at a glance and know what it is. So in real life, I would give it a better name. And then in my description, I'm just going to put syllabus again. And then this box might look familiar. This looks like the same box like we had when we were in our profile, editing our profile. So you're going to click on the Add button, and there's the file picker again, right? Now, if you don't see this in the middle where it says Attachment Browse, that means you got to click over here on Upload a File. So if you don't see this, just click on Upload a File, and then we're going to Browse. And if you've ever uploaded a file, this is really familiar. So I went right to the desktop, and I'm going to find my file. It's called Example right here. Just click on it, hit Open, and then upload this file. And then I should see the file appear in that box. So this is how you add files to Moodle across the board. Really simple, straightforward process. One of the kind of slick things about the new version of Moodle is under Display I can put Embed for PDF files. And what happens is it opens up the file, it looks like it's in Moodle, And it looks really nice. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to hit Save and Return to Course. And then I should see the link to my file. See, I have mine, it's called Syllabus. And when I click on it, it should open the file. And you see how it opens it up like that, like right in the Moodle shell. So that's a really good way to add your syllabus. Students can also print from there and save from there as a PDF, and that's how that works. So that can work with any file, any type of file format, like an Excel sheet or anything you want to put.
Sending with photos.
No, photos not like that. Do it differently. So I'll show you how. Okay, so now I am on page. Okay, so now I'm on page 15, and I'm going to show you how to link to an external website. You notice how you have a link to your course up at the top here? See, it says Home, Courses, and it should say the name of your college and your discipline. That's actually called breadcrumbs, and that's a navigation. So anytime you're in your course, you can always get back to the front page by clicking on the name of your course. See, I'm just clicking on the name of my course, and that just takes me right back to my front page, no matter where I am. Yes? Did you read your hand? No. Okay, good. Okay, so now we're going to add a link to an external website. So there's about 800 billion zillion resources on the internet you might want to share with your students. So we're going to go find one right now and put it right in. So once again, we go to add an activity or resource. And this time we're going to add URL just at the very bottom down here. So under resources, URL is the very last one. So we got to click on add an activity or resource, and then URL, and then add. And you should be kind of seeing a pattern developing here. Every time you add something, it always asks you to name it and give a description. That's very consistent across Moodle. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to open a new tab. So we're not going to close down Moodle, okay? So don't close anything down. But you'll notice if you look up at the top here, you should see a little plus sign. You see that plus sign in your browser? How about your browser now? You see it at the very top? So you should see the tab for your course, and whatever tab you have open, next to that tab on the right, there should be a little plus sign. Anybody not have a plus sign? Yes? Click that plus sign. And it just opens a new window, new browser window. All right, so what I want you to do over here, I want you to search for a website that you might want to actually use with your students. So I'm going to look for backyard chickens. Oh, no. So just type in here, something like that, and then search. And then actually you're going to have to go to the website. Okay. So just pick any old website right now. You don't have to get married to the website or anything. I'm just going to grab one. So what I need to do with my website is I got to copy the address, right? I got to copy the URL. And it's really easy to do that. I just click it one time. And it highlights the whole thing, one click. And then I'm going to copy it. So I'm just going to do Control-C. But I could, of course, right-click on it or something like that. Okay, does everybody copy their URL? All right, so let's go back to our class. It should say Editing URL, the tab. Now, in this box, there's a box that says External URL. See that box? We're going to paste that link that we just copied in that external URL box. And then we're going to click on Save and Return to Course. Oh. And anytime you put a link in your course, you always want to click it, you know what, and test it and make sure that it works. You know, when I add these links, I usually change them, because there's this weird thing where they open this other page. But if you actually click here, instead of automatic, if you click on open, then it should work. No, it's not work. Maybe I have to do embed. Let me find the right answer. Okay. Let's try embed. Well, they actually put the website on my page. I think open is probably the best choice. But either way, you always have to I'm going to just switch mine back to open. And then save and return to course. And then I'm going to click on my link. It should just open the web page. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so you have to choose open. Let me come around. What I wanted to mention to you, and it might not, or it might or might not make sense right now, but you know, when I'm in my course, so let's say I'm here, I'm back in my course. When I'm on the front page of my course and I go to the settings menu, I get a different edit settings than if I'm somewhere else. So like if I'm here and I click on edit settings, remember this takes me to that whole overreaching thing that has all the course settings. But if I'm, for example, let's say I'm in a page like this, and I go to settings. When I go to edit settings, I'll be editing the settings of that page that I'm on. So that's what I was talking before when I said the menu is contextual. So the menu changes depending on what page I'm on. It used to be that there was a button up here that said update this resource. That went away, and now you always use the settings menu to edit any page that you're on. All right. So is everybody's link is working okay? You might want to make a note on here on page 17 that you should choose open for the content, or where is it? For the it's under options. I would make a note to choose open instead of automatic, which is what's there by default. Okay, so now we're going to, what time is it? Okay, so now we're going to add a YouTube video to your course, and that's sort of a two-step process. First, we're going to add a web page to our course, and then we're going to put a YouTube video in it. Okay, so back to add an activity or resource. Everybody with me? Click on add an activity or resource. And in order to, we're going to put a YouTube video in, and we could just stick it on the front page of the course, but that's probably not a good idea because you don't want the front page of your course to get too cluttered. So we're going to actually create a web page, and you can use web pages for any sort of content. And it's a good idea to know how to add a web page, and you could put your syllabus on a web page, for example. You can put any kind of content on a web page. So I'm going to go here to, it says page down here under resources. It's right above URL. I'm going to add a page. So once again, we got a name and a description. So I'm going to call this YouTube video about chickens. And of course, I have to put a description in here. So I'll put something like, watch this video all about chickens. All right, so my actual web page goes down here where it says page content. So I'm going to say here, right, video, and I'm going to make that a heading. Like heading 1, heading 2. Right. So anything that you put in that second box, that's your actual web page. So you can put in there live links to things. You can put pictures. You can put videos, you can put text, obviously, any kind of thing that you could put in a web page, you could put in there. All right, so I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to open a new tab with my plus sign, and I'm going to go to YouTube. YouTube is just one of many, many, many places where you can get videos, educational content. So I'm going to look for backyard chickens. You know, any kind of objects that are on the internet have what's called embed code, and so that's what we got to get. So we're going to click on the share button, and then I'm going to click on the embed link. And that's the code that I need, that code that's in that box. It's already highlighted. So I'm just going to copy it. Then I'm going to go back to my course. It should say editing page in the tab. And I have to click on the HTML button. You see the HTML button in the editor? It says, it's right next to spell check. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to make sure my cursor is below, and I'm going to paste the code in there. And update it, and then hit save and display, and you should see your video. YouTube has a lot of videos in different disciplines. Also, someplace like Coursera has a lot of videos. What's the latest one? Udacity. Udacity has a lot of good videos, especially for math and science. So, but really, I mean, there's so many. Udacity, so Udacity. They're churning out content over there like crazy. Okay, so now you just learned how to make a web page and also a video, but I just wanted to show you one other thing about these web pages that you can make. If you have a web page, I'm going to just go back here into edits settings again so I can edit this page. I can copy, like, I know people don't believe in Wikipedia, but I'm just going to use Wikipedia right now as an example because it has so many links in it. So let's say I found some information on Wikipedia and I was just going to use it not as a primary source. So let's see if I'm going to look at that. I know I'm not really obsessed with backyard chickens. I just can't think of it. All right, so when I get a page like this is not a good example. I just looked up something there. Hold on a minute. Usually, like I just looked up. Oh, I know. I spelled it wrong. Anyway, so like if you have something like this that has a lot of live links in it, this doesn't have that many. I can actually take this and just copy it like this. And then I can go into a web page that I've created in Moodle, and I can just paste that in. So I'm just going to paste it in. And it takes, oh, sorry. Let me go back. I have to actually, they're going to make me use the editor. So I have to actually use the word editor, but I can paste it in there like this, and it takes all the links with it. So like for example, every single thing in here, like there's a link to St. Petersburg, so it links out to that. So if you get content from the web, is my point, you can just extract it just by copying it and pasting it into your Moodle shell. And it takes everything with it. It takes the graphics, it takes the links, it takes everything. It's a really easy and fast way to compile content. So like I think instead of sending students out to look at web pages where maybe they might get distracted or they might not know what you want them to read, you could just take it and put it into Moodle, the part that you want them to read, and just make sure that you attribute, where you got it from. But other than that, it takes like 5 seconds to get content that way. So it's a good way to help students focus on what you want them to read. So I just thought I'd throw that in. You're not teaching an online class, but it's a good idea to have at least one forum in your Moodle shell for students to use, and they can use it for example, to ask for help, which means you have to check it. You know what, I'm asking for help and no one answers. And also for them to post an introduction, which is a good thing to have students do, makes them feel more involved and invested in your course. You can post what they call ice-breaking activities. So, like post a question like, if you could go to any place, where would you go? Or, just stuff like that that gets students talking to each other. I'm going to show you how to add your basic forum right now. So if everybody back in their course, we're just going to go to add an activity or resource. And in this case, we're going to choose forum. Click on add. So there's different types of forums, but usually if you just stick with standard forum for general use, that works really well. So you want to give your forum a name. So you could do something like the chat cafe or something like that. And then in the forum introduction, you want to give students instructions on what to do in the forum. So if this is a forum where you want to introduce themselves, then you'd say, introduce yourself. And you might post a post where you introduce yourself just to kind of model what sort of thing you're looking for. So forums are also a way that you can give students credit for participation. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that it says ratings. You see where it says ratings? And you can set it up so that forums are actually a graded activity. And what that means is students get points for participating in the forum. So that could be another way students can get points. And I usually use sum of ratings. And then I give each forum a maximum amount of points. And the way I do it is I always give a forum 75 points. And the reason for that is students have to post 3 times to the forum. And each post is worth 25 points. So if they got 75 points, they have 100% participation. And so if you look at the handout, actually it says on page 26, there's a lot of writing and stuff out there about forums, and I've kind of tried to boil it down for you a little bit. If you're going to include a forum, you have to give students directions on what you want to see in the forum. And even if you give them directions, they still might need more help. But you should tell them, what their forum participation is worth. Give them some ideas about what the timeline is for submissions. Like, if everybody has a week to post, you don't want everybody posting in the last 30 minutes of the time period. So anyway, there's a whole list of things here, bullets that you can look at in your own time.
Alexis?
Yes.
I don't know how exactly how, but I don't know if legal is the right word, but what I have done is, since I have a lot of responses, and so I've made it so that, one, I tell them that part of their grade is getting things in on time, and that anything can happen, and if they get them in late and they've tried to turn them in at the last time, that is their problem. The other thing I've done, because I have so much reading, is I make composition. I automatically take off points, like if they turn in everything is one paragraph, no breaks or anything like that. And I found that that makes it so much easier for me and so much easier for the students. And the students seem to accept the fact, because I keep telling them over and over, getting assignments in on time is part of your grade. And if you try to turn them in at the last minute and it doesn't go through, that's not an excuse.
Yeah, and I mean, basically, as long as you tell students what the rules are and you have it somewhere on your syllabus or something like that, you're good to go.
Well, the more times the better, actually.
Right, you gotta tell them more than one time. So anyway, you're welcome to copy this or something if you decide to use forums. And also, there's a rubric in here. It's a good idea to give students a rubric about forum participation, because that's really easy to read and understand. So the rubric is on page 28. So the way that I'm just going to show quickly the way that forums work is that they look like this. And so when a student wants to participate in the forum, they just click on this button. It says add a new discussion topic. And then it's just like writing an email. They just put a subject and they put a message in this box here. And students can actually put YouTube videos and stuff in here. They've got this new feature in Moodle, like if they put a link to the YouTube video, it actually show up in the box, which is kind of fun. So there's so many things you can do with discussion forums. I mean, really, the sky is the limit. So you should really think about using them. I just read an article about somebody using, having students facilitate the forum, like, you know, and have students come up with forum questions. And there's just so many ways you can, you know, get critical thinking going and peer review and all kinds of stuff like that in the forum. It's a really great tool. And it gives students something to do outside of class that still keeps them involved with the content of your course. Okay, so, we've only got really 10 more minutes. Yikes. All right. So I want to talk about assignments. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to go back to the front of my course, and then I'm going to go to add an activity or resource. So if you look up there under assignments, you'll see that there's 4 different types. And let me go there. What page am I on? Oh yeah, page 30. So the assignment that people use most is upload a single file. So if you create an assignment, an upload a single file assignment, that means that students can turn in papers to that assignment link. So this is a way you can give students more leeway in turning in papers if you want to do that. So you can actually put the entire assignment online. I'm just going to go here and I'm going to click on upload a single file, add. So in this case, in the description, I would actually put the directions for the assignment in the description box. And then as you can see under this box, you can set up parameters for when the assignment is available. So, and then you can either prevent or allow late submissions. Everybody with me okay? It's up to you if you want to allow late submissions, and Moodle allows you to keep track of your regular closing. It'll keep track for you of how late what the assignment is exactly. Or you can simply prevent late assignments being turned in which case the button goes away and the student can't upload anything. Then, as you can see, there's a grade there, so you can put, let's say the assignment is worth 10 points, I'll just make it 10 points. And you always do want to allow resubmitting, because if student accidentally, what if they accidentally upload the wrong file or something? So you should always change allow resubmitting to yes. And also, if you make some comments on the student's submission and then you say, you know, I'll let you turn this in again if you want to fix this, then they can resubmit it. Otherwise they can't, and then you're going to end up having a bunch of email conversations about it. So it's always good to allow resubmitting. You probably don't want, I don't know about you, but I don't really want an email every time somebody turns in a paper. I don't know. It gets kind of annoying. So that's how you set up the assignment. And then what it looks like, I can show you what it actually looks like when students hand in papers. This is just a course that I taught a few months ago. So if I go to my assignments, this one for example. So when I from the teacher standpoint look at it, it looks like this. So I see every student, I see whatever they submitted, and I can open it there. I can type comments, and I can put their grade in all in one place. I don't know about you, but I think this is a great idea. You don't have to, you have a record of whether or not the student turned in the assignment. You don't have to worry about losing anything because it's all in the Moodle. And you can grade it all, and it goes right into the grade book. Automatically goes into the grade book. So that's what the assignment thing looks like. So there's at least 3 other kinds of assignments. There are online text, and if you look at your handout, I actually put in here all the 4 kinds of assignments. Online text looks like what it looks like on page 32. Student gets a box and they just type in the box, or they can copy and paste in the box. So you could use this for like a quiz, for example. One thing I saw a teacher doing was just having the questions in the here, and the student could just answer them in the box and turn it in like that. So that's one of the things you might, or like a short essay kind of a thing. That's what that's for. Advanced uploading of files if you're teaching English or something like that, and you're having students submit drafts and you're sending papers back and forth. That's why you would use that advanced uploading of files. And there's just a bunch of stuff I put in here about all the settings that are in there that you can look at and see. Explaining that hopefully. Offline activities are like, let's say you tell a student, if you go to the zoo and bring me back your receipt, I'll give you 10 points. That's an example of an offline activity, and that goes into the grade book, but they don't actually, the student doesn't actually interact with it at all. It's like they're not turning anything in. It's just that you have an item in the grade book that you can put a grade in. So I don't know about you, but I think that's probably enough for one day. If you look at page 36, there's something in here about putting books into Moodles, but I don't want to like overwhelm you. So I think we did enough. I got enough information for one day. Do we have any questions? Yes.
On the old Moodle, you used to have a task quiz that we could all use. Have you done that for the new Moodle?
A quiz?
You know, for the students to take so that they are familiar with the Moodle.
Oh, that thing. Actually, that isn't compatible with this version of Moodle.
Okay.
Yeah. That whole orientation and everything got kicked out because it doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay.
But we just started using this version in August. This is a brand new version. So hopefully I'll come up with another kind of, we used to have an internal orientation that you could just pop in, but it's no longer compatible, so I'm going to try to make a new one. Maybe over the break I'll make a new one, if I can figure out how to do that. Any other questions? Yeah?
What exactly is that book? Like, I'm not constantly making copies for
Okay, I'll show you what it looks like. How about that?
classes.
I'll just go to one of my courses that it's actually a real course. So here's a course I just taught last semester. So what a book is let's say I have a lot of content that's related. So I don't want to just throw it all over the place. I don't want to make a big long web page like this long with my content. So I use the book module, and I'll show you a book right here. So here's a book called Week 1 Start Here. So let me just turn editing off because it's hard to see it with editing turned on. So let me turn editing off. Okay. So a book looks like this, and there's directions on how to make a book in there. Oh, here we go. So you see how like the content's in the middle, and then on the left over here, there's a table of contents. Each one of these links represents a page in the book. So as you can see, these pages, some of them have live links, some of them have graphics. I think at least one of them has videos, like there's a video. Here's the thing about your forum participation. Yeah, this is just all stuff I put in there for the students, like so they know what to expect in the course. And so all that's related information, but it's too much information to put on one page. So I just create a book, and we have a book module. So if you look at the directions, it's just under add an activity or resource, and you choose book. And then there's directions and pictures in here on how to set it up. So then you can just copy and paste stuff in there, like make as many pages as you want. There's no limit. There's a little red plus sign that appears when editing is turned on, and that's how you add pages. And yeah, each page is just a WYSIWYG editor, just like the one we've been using. And yeah, so books are really good, and if you want to add a whole lot of content, but you don't want to confuse the student by, so this way they've got the table of contents, and they can kind of see, oh, I know this is what this page is about, this page is about, like that. So, does that make sense? Okay.
Do you guys have sample Instructor websites so when I'm making my own?
No, but I'm glad to look at your course, but I have to tell you, and I'm glad you asked that question, if you go to YouTube, there are so many examples of Moodle courses there and how to do stuff in Moodle that you won't believe it. There's hundreds. Also, there's a site called 2 Minute Moodle that has a lot of examples. If you remind me, send me an email, I'll send you a link to a bunch of instructional videos that are really short on how to do things in Moodle. But you have to remember we have Moodle 2.3. So that's different. So you want to make sure, like, if you go to YouTube, if you just put Moodle 2.3, you'll get like a million videos. You can get very specific. You can go add assignment, Moodle 2.3, and you'll get like 10 or 15 videos. And some are, better than others, but there's some good ones there. So, yeah. And also, if you can ask your colleagues, if you have other people in your department are using Moodle, ask them to look at their course. You could also take one of the EDT courses. That's what a lot of people